Hey guys, Sean from Next Step Product Strategy here. So today I want to talk a little bit more about the system, the product launch system from Next Step that we're working on. So to reiterate, the phases were market first, then idea, and then product is last. So remember, it's not product market fit, it's market product fit. We make the habit of thinking about the market first. So essentially what we want to talk about today is particular the first phase. That's the market phase. So the output that we're looking for from this phase is essentially a problem that is worth solving. However, before we get there, we need to know where we are going to go to find that problem. That's essentially going to be one of our market verticals. So how do we get into choosing a vertical? We're going to give you a little bit more help there as well too. So how do we find the market vertical for which we want to go searching for problems? Well, first and foremost, we want to conduct market research, of course. Now, there's going to be a fair bit of work to be done here, so we're going to start by making it a little bit easier. First step is to identify market verticals that make sense to you for one reason or another. There are three particular areas that we look to be boxes to be checked when you're selecting market verticals. And those three are number one, passion, number two, proficiency, and number three, demand. Each of these areas are particularly important, and I'm going to describe for you why. So the first category I mentioned was passion. So let's say that I'm thinking of essentially a product-based business that I want to get into, product that I ultimately want to build. So I could consider something like the fitness industry. So I'm active in the fitness industry. There's a couple of sub-verticals that I could choose in there, one of which could be Zumba, the dance class, which I have literally never taken. This is not going to end up being a good fit for me. This is not something I'm passionate about. Nobody wants to see me dance. At least not like that. So for someone like myself, something that would be a much better fit, something that I'm very interested in, like cycling, for example. I have a bike, I've taken a ton of organized rides and events, and I've done a lot of cycling classes. It's something that is very interesting to me. In this process, you want to choose something that's going to maintain your interest. You choose something you're passionate about, and it's something you're going to be interested in throughout the phase of your project. So the second category I mentioned is proficiency. And who doesn't want to be good at something that they're doing? In this particular example, where I've chosen the fitness industry and particularly cycling, I could bring a hardware product or a software product to market. Now, I've worked on plenty of hardware products, but in particular, my personal interest is much stronger on the software side, because that's where a lot of my experience lies. And in particular, there's just specific challenges associated with building hardware products that I don't really want to have to deal with. Like, for example, maintaining a manufacturing process, storing and holding inventory, managing the raw materials process. I don't really have to worry about any of that kind of stuff if I'm going to work on some form of a virtual software-based tech solution. So in this instance, a software product is going to be a much better fit for me personally. And lastly, the third step that I mentioned was demand. This one may be the most important overall. Ultimately, you want to start with a market vertical where which there is a huge unmet need that you can find through the market research that you're conducting. If you start in an area that the demand is low, with no pun intended, you're going to find yourself spinning your wheels and making it incredibly difficult to get traction. So it could be something you're very interested in, could be something you're good at, but if nobody wants it at the end of the day, it's going to be impossible to build a product-based business around it. So market demand is incredibly important. So when you're evaluating market verticals to choose to ultimately go find a problem that you want to build a solution around, which is ultimately going to become your product, keep these three areas in mind. You want to look for something that you're passionate about. You want to obviously address an area where you have a level of proficiency. And arguably most importantly, you want to look for a significant market demand for that as a solution. As your product company evolves, you're going to be glad that you kept these in mind earlier on in your project. That's our video today, guys. Thanks for watching, and keep disrupting.